Welcome to another D2 webinar. I'm here with Daryl. I'm Jeremy, and we today have a topic on
mentorship.
Mentorship. Yes, board mentors, right?
Yes, board mentors. What is board mentors? Wow.
We alluded to this, I think, a couple webinars ago.
Yes, we did.
Where we started talking about. We said, "Hey, that'd be a great idea for a topic." And the board mentor is pretty much exactly what it sounds like, isn't it? It's someone to help me. And for some of my generation, who's my Obi-Wan Kenobi on the board?
Well, exactly. And we talk about mentorship with the board manual, right, and around orientation as well for new board members. And so either of those can work, and all of them can work at the same time. And having a mentor it's like any business. Anybody that's starting a business or has been in business has had mentors all, as they started and for a while. But having that mentor there, it makes it so much easier for the new board member, because most board members, new ones, are not going to talk to another board member unless they have to. They just don't feel comfortable. They don't know them very well.
We're brought in because we're supposed to know something.
And we may not have all the resources that we need. Maybe the orientation wasn't done, or it was just too fast. And I have some questions, but I don't want to go to the chair or anybody.
Right.
I have this manual, but I still don't understand pieces of it. And who do I talk to?
Assuming they have a manual.
Assuming they have a manual.
If you haven't seen the bit on manuals, the last webinar we did, Daryl Koffler's The Manuals, talks about where to even find one on the website.
Exactly. Director's manual is very important. But you're always going to need questions and need help on some questions you have. You need some answers. So who do you talk to? I've been involved with some boards that I really like what they did, and they assigned a mentor. And a board mentor is somebody that is an experienced board member. Okay, you don't want somebody who's only been there a short period of time or has not had experience being on boards. You want somebody with experience and has a way about them that they are available as well and are willing to explain whatever you need to explain if you have a question. And so that's who you would assign. It's usually the most tenured board member, but not always. I've seen tenured board members who just aren't comfortable being a mentor. So you got to find that happy medium who is happy to do that, and you would assign them. And sometimes one mentor could be with 2 or 3 newbies, right? Brand new board members. You just don't want to make it too much for them. Just ensure that it's available, that they're available to talk to those individuals when they have a question. But they're the ones that have the experience, have the knowledge, and are willing to do that. And you do that right at the day that they walk in. Because who you don't want to assign them to is obviously the board chair. The board chair would have experience, but they are so much involved in other things that they just won't have the time. And committee chairs won't have the time either. They're involved in committee work, and they're going to be, and not have the resources to be able to give it to new board members that they need. So you need somebody that preferably is not a committee chair, not the board chair, but with the experience, and they're willing to meet with them. They have you marry them up with contact information, and that would be cell phone and email and chat, because a chat with a cell phone is what most people are using today.
The old texting, who answers the phone anymore?
Well, exactly. And if it's a quick answer, and if it's not a quick answer and needs a little bit more time, then you can pick up the phone and have a call, or meet for coffee and have that discussion, because sometimes it may be even showing some documentation. Very important that you're flexible in what's needed for board mentorship. And that board mentor would stay with that individual for as long as it takes.
Really. So it's not really a set time frame.
No, it isn't. And I've seen them where it's gone almost a year.
Okay.
So almost a full cycle, but I've also seen where it's finished in 3 months, and for the majority of the questions. And then maybe sporadically over the next 6 months, they may have a question or two, but primarily after a year, you don't really need that board mentorship anymore.
So I've heard the news. I should have a board mentor. So I'm just going to take Tom over there and I'm going to make him the mentor for the new guys, and I'm done, right? That's it.
Oh no! No. The board mentor, the board chair, or if the mentorship process is being managed by the governance and ethics committee or the executive, they should meet with the mentors on a quarterly basis minimum. And the reason they should do is to find out how's it going.
Right.
How is the mentorship process going with those new directors? Are they feeling more comfortable with what they should be doing, what their expectations should be? Is there more training or any specific training that's necessary for them?
Right.
So the board mentor can provide that to the committee, and then you can meet the mentor, or the executive or the governance and ethics committee can meet with those individual directors and say, look, we think it would be important for you to continue on with this mentorship for a period of time if you're okay with it. And 9 times out of 10, probably 11 out of 10, they're going to say yes, please. But we will give you an example. We'll also say to you that if there's any specific training, this is what we think.
Right.
And we'll go to their training record. Every board member should have a training record, as we discussed previously. And in the training record, this is what we're recommending your training should be over the next, say, 3 months. You don't want to do all your training if there's, in your continuous training all at once. That's required for this year. Maybe there's 3 or 4 things that are required that you want them to really know about. Well, you would do that over a quarterly basis, once a quarter. And it's spaced out and gives a board member an opportunity to prepare, to understand it before they go on to the next training process. But the mentor will provide that guidance to the committee saying, this is what I think that they should be focused on.
So if I'm a board director and I'm looking for folks in my board to become these mentors, what should I look for?
You're looking for experience mostly, but you're looking for good governance experience, not board experience. Okay, there's a difference.
There is a difference, yes.
You can be on boards and not receive good governance training on boards and not really understand the good governance process. So through process of being on the board and getting training that you've gone through over a period of time, and I wouldn't use a board member that's been with the organization for only the first term, like 3 years.
Right.
I would use board members that have been on longer than 3 years, because usually in the first 3 years, they have taken lots of training. They are starting to understand and appreciate good governance standards. And so they'll be able to pass that on to new people. But until they've done that, I would not recommend, just because they've come in from another board and had been on boards for 10 years. It doesn't mean that they have 10 years of good governance experience. You need to understand what that looks like.
As we're finding out as more and more goes on, fewer and fewer boards have actually trained properly for this kind of thing.
There is no question. I am constantly asked to provide training sessions for boards, and this is why we created our D2 website, which we created 19 very, very focused governance training programs just for that process that boards can avail themselves of. I've had countless board directors come up to me and ask about mentorship, about orientation, about board directors manuals, because they've never seen any of it.
Right.
And they've been thrown into the organization. Day one, they were not provided with any information, some not even a board information package for the meeting.
Right.
And they're sitting at this not knowing
where to go, what to do, which way to look.
Exactly. And so board mentorship is an important part of the process, just as orientation and just as the board director's manual is.
If I'm a newbie to the board, what should I be looking for? What's appropriate with my mentor? What should I be going to them with?
Anything and everything.
Anything and everything.
Anything to do with governance. If you have a board manual, director's manual, and you don't understand some things, or you don't have a board of director's manual and you've heard some different things, you've read some different things about good governance, go to that individual and talk to them about it. If you have an orientation process that you went through in a session, most sessions are an afternoon session, a lot of information in 3 to 4 hours, and you go back home and say, oh my God, and then you start looking at this and you may have forgotten some things, or you need clarification, that you would go to the board member or to the board mentorship. You're at a meeting and the board meeting is going on and you're uncomfortable with how the meeting process went. You're just not sure when you say something, or when you when you should expect information. If you weren't given the information, go to the mentor. The mentor should be able to provide you with that information. And if they don't, then it's the wrong mentor, frankly.
Right.
But that's why it's so important that the committee responsible for the mentorship program gets the right mentor. And you want to make sure that that mentor is not only available but knowledgeable about good governance practices.
Right. What I'm hearing is that depending on the size of my board, I should probably have a few people lined up as
no question
as mentors.
Don't have
just to get
one.
that fit.
Don't have just one. Have several. And yeah, if you're rotating your boards, you're at least going to have 3 to 4 board members. You're probably going to have 6 board members at least that have been on the board for longer than 3 years.
Right.
Because you're rotating them every 3 years.
Right.
And that way you're keeping new blood coming in, but you always have that experience level of 6 board members or so. And pick 3 out of those 6 that can provide, that kind of resource and are able to handle have that good governance knowledge and able to handle that mentorship process, because it's not for everybody. It's you need to be able to convey. It's almost a teachable moment when you're talking to a director.
Right.
And some people can understand good governance, but to convey it, to teach it, may be a different story.
Right. So let's say I'm now on the other side of the coin. I'm the guy who they're asking to be the mentor. What should we expect of those mentors? Am I now giving up my life to these new board members?
Absolutely, you are.
Are you?
I would say just run. No, absolutely. There are time commitments that would be put on.
Sure.
That should be outlined, and you set up a process. You would set up a process that when you have questions and concerns, we'll meet on and talk maybe on a weekly basis.
Right. I'm smelling policies and handbook entries here.
You would have, yes, exactly. The governing policy mentorship program that you would have would outline that. It would outline, what the mentor will be providing, and what the expectations should be of the mentor and the expectations of the new director with the mentor. So you don't want to tie up the mentor every single day and night with phone call. So you would set periodic times, and it's usually done on a weekly basis. At a particular time, we're going to discuss any questions you may have, and it may be by way of a meeting, maybe by just phone call or text, or it could be FaceTime.
Right. So every time we have these interactions set up between new board members, chairs, mentors, should all be documented to keep everything within perspective.
Yeah, the board mentor should keep a record of all the discussions that they're having with the board of director. And the reason they're doing that is they're collecting information. It's not something that you're holding somebody accountable to, like the new board director, but you're collecting information of potential training opportunities. If the director is asking information and there's a trend in the information, maybe there's a particular training opportunity, and it could be maybe it's on effective board meetings, or maybe there's a training opportunity for conflict of interest. There are different things that will come up all the time, but keeping that record, you'll see trends start to form, and then you can make those recommendations to the committee. The mentor can, and the committee can then in turn meet with the individual board members saying, we think that that you're ready for this type of training, as opposed to saying this has been documented.
Right.
You don't want
beat them with the book.
Exactly. You don't want to do that. You want to bring them in and say, let's put this particular piece of training for the next quarter.
Right.
Maybe it's on board meetings, and we're going to do a session on effective board meetings, so you really understand what that looks like. You'll have a guidebook, you'll have some videos, you'll even have a policy, and you'll even see the document on board meeting conduct, and you can review that. And once you review that and familiarize yourself with that best practice, then you can ask questions from that as well on an ongoing basis. But this will certainly help you.
I think we've covered the gamut.
We certainly did. Mentorship is important, and I highly recommend it to any board member that needs mentorship, or any board that doesn't have mentorship. Get your board together, set up a governing policy, and put the process in place.
Right. So if board mentors, policies, handbooks, and all that stuff sounds like a foreign concept to you, and you've been on a board for years, 5 minutes, whatever it is, We have a ton of resources to help you out. That's why we created D2. We are here to help your board become the most effective board it can be, whether you're a not-for-profit or not. So if you need help, toss some stuff down in the comments, whether it's on Facebook, YouTube, any of our social media, and we can get it over to Daryl here. It'll either become another topic, we'll answer it here live. However that turns out, get your questions in. We're more than happy to answer them. In the meantime, if you are looking for any of our materials, you can go to D2Sup, D2SUP, that's for D2 support.com. There you'll find 18, and although Daryl alluded to a mystery 19th that's coming down the pipe.
Yeah, we're working on another one.
With more coming after that, I'm sure.
Yeah.
So check that out. And until the next time,